moment and are going to grab the kids, run to the grocery store, and have each of the kids pick up a can of something they would want to have for lunch or for dinner, and then bring it over to the bus. We would love to get pictures of them, put them up on Facebook, and kind of show the community how we can all come together, because today is our absolute last day on the bus. So we're pulling out of here tomorrow morning at 8 a.m. and taking all of the food that we've collected this week for Front Royal Warren County CCAP over to where they will store it, and hopefully we have enough. I'm looking around the bus that we'll have enough that will get them through April. That's kind of what we've been doing. The standard has been through April. So I've got Nadine on the bus with me today. She is the executive director at the United Way of Northern Shenandoah Valley, and you came. Last year was your first year doing the show on the bus.
It was. Here I am, and you invited me back, so I must have not done too bad of a job.
Well, you weren't too terrified. That's usually the first clue, is like somebody's freaking out about being on the bus. I'm like, maybe I shouldn't bring that back.
No, it was awesome.
Well, and one of the reasons why I really wanted to make sure that you could come back this year is because you're dealing with this stuff on the front lines in many of the ways that CCAP is. And you guys, Elise has been on the show, you've been on the show, we've talked a lot on the show, even when you're not here. I think I sometimes bring up Alice.
Absolutely.
And we've talked about Alice, which is Asset Limited Income Constrained Employed.
You got it. Good job.
Yes. But you guys did an interesting thing last week, and I kind of want to start off with that because you had Alice Awareness Week and did some challenges.
Yeah.
I knew Elise was going to do it because she told me about it when she was here on the show that Friday, but I didn't realize you were doing it as well.
Yeah, so last week we challenged our community to take a walk in Alice's shoes. So again, Alice is, the people in our community who are working hard, sometimes working 2 jobs and just not making ends meet, which does represent about 40% of our local community. So we're talking a large percentage. So we had a bunch of different challenges. Elise and I did the food challenge. So Elise challenged herself to eat on a SNAP or food stamp budget. So that's for those who qualify under the federal poverty guidelines. And that was $4.50 a day. I opted to do the Alice challenge. So I took, for a single adult in Frederick County, what their food budget would be, and it was slightly higher, about $5.40 a day. So that'd be for somebody working who doesn't qualify for food stamps. That would be the amount they would need to set aside per day in order to eat very minimally. And I'll go into how minimally that was in a second. And we had a couple other people. Someone did a transportation challenge. So their family who has 2 cars went down to 1 car. And just chronicled the challenges of getting around and getting to a job. They both live in Frederick County, and what that meant for their family. It poured on Monday and Tuesday, I can imagine. She walked to work about 2.5 miles each day, and so that was interesting. We had one staff member who did laundry at a laundromat, because many of our Alice families are renting or living in motels or cars and don't have laundry facilities. And then we had a couple community members that did, like we did last week, the one black dress, or chose one professional outfit and wore it for 5 days, sort of symbolizing the lack of that discretionary budget for Alice families.
Well, and you bring up a good point. So Elise was on the SNAP budget, which is substantially less. It was a little over $4 a day, and yours was a little bit higher. But that's the one thing that I kind of want to touch on, because I think that's the important thing for people to remember when we're talking about Alice in general. These are people who don't qualify because they might make $10 more than what the limit or the max amount is. And they're the ones that are really struggling, and that's the bulk of what Larry tells me from CCAP, of the people that are coming in to get their services and take advantage of this food.
Sure, absolutely, yeah. I think SNAP and food stamps are a great resource that the federal government provides people, but yeah, it's those that are working and they don't qualify for that, they're still struggling. It's $5.40 a day. If you really think about it, that's about $1.50 a meal. I couldn't go to McDonald's really and do that, and so it was a huge challenge. And I think I was telling you, by Tuesday I really started to think, I was hungry, and I really started to think, man, if I had to do this long term, I would have to go to a food pantry that served Alice families and get some supplemental foods, because it really wasn't enough to keep me going with my busy schedule. And Alice families work, and could be very physical jobs, and I know I didn't feel physically up to lifting anything, or, I mean, I work out fairly heavily, and I could tell by Wednesday I wasn't my normal energy level. And so if you think about folks that are working and how that impacts their health and their energy level, it really was eye-opening. So, gosh, this food is really going to go a long way to help supplement those budgets and to really help people get by.
Well, and it's another thing we've been, you know, and I say preaching. So we, in a way, we've been preaching all week about what types of food and the types of donations that make the biggest impact and do the most good. And when Larry was here on Monday, we were running through a list of some of the things that donations that they would prefer over others. And a lot of what he was saying was healthy choices, because sometimes we tend to just go clean out our pantries. So we get, you know, there's a decent amount of expired food and things that we get donated on the bus, and we're not knocking that because it's still better than nothing.
Right.
But we get a lot of unhealthy things.
Yeah.
And we try to tell the people that are bringing food to bring what they would be eating.
Yeah.
Because you really didn't get to have that option. Your diet completely turned upside down in that week.
Completely. For those of you that know me, I'm a CrossFitter. I CrossFit 5 days a week. I eat very few refined starches, lots of proteins and vegetables, and healthy carbohydrates and things like that. But protein shakes, all those good things, and you know, and I'm so blessed to be able to do that. I mean, I eat like an avocado a day because I love them and they're so good for you. But yeah, I really had to give up a lot of those things. No protein shakes. I think I had a protein shake 1 or 2 days last week, and I called it my splurge. I ate ramen noodles for dinner to be able to get that protein shake in. So proteins, like even canned tuna or canned chicken, you wouldn't believe, like there was one day I had some tuna from a can, and it was literally like the best thing all week because I knew my body needed that protein, and it was really just a lot of starches that I was eating, a lot of, you know, breads and things like that. So yeah, high protein items. I think one night I don't think I've wanted vegetables so much in my whole life. I cracked open a can of beans, or a can of green beans from a can, even though they were canned and not fresh. It was just like I mixed it in with my pasta, and I was so happy. So yeah, things like canned vegetables, you know, not expired, and low sodium varieties, beans, rice, those are all things that I think are great to be able to donate because they go a really long way. For people who are trying to be on a tight budget.
Well, and that was the other piece of that puzzle is grocery gift cards are a huge help to CCAP because they have started implementing a fresh produce program. And like you said, you know, to open up a can of beans when you're used to being able to have fresh vegetables, fresh fruits, that's what they use the gift cards for.
Yeah.
They are able to go out and then take those gift cards and go to, you know, Walmart, Aldi, Martin's, all of these different grocery stores and buy those things because they have coolers. And some of these families, Larry was telling us a story, and you probably have dozens of these, with a mom came in with her little girl who was so excited because she had never had grapes. And to be able to give her grapes. It's these little things that you don't think about because I go to the grocery store and I look at the grapes and I complain that they're expensive and I buy them anyway.
Yeah. I have a great grape story. It's funny that you brought that up. So it was, I think, Monday. I did not do a good job planning either. And I think that's the other thing. Elise planned out all of her meals, really down to the dollars and cents. We're super busy. So by Monday, I was like, shoot, I got to do this challenge. And I didn't plan. And so I went to the grocery store on Monday, and I'm trying to figure out what's going to fit in my budget. So I got a handful of things. And then behind a lady at the grocery store, and she walks up to the counter, and she had a couple items in her hand, and the total was like $10 and something cents. So she pulled out a 20, and she had a bag of grapes in her hand, and she handed them to the checkout lady and said, "Could you tell me how much these are?" And they were like $2 and something cents. And she looked at her 20, and she looked at the lady, and she looked at the grapes, and she paused for a second. She's like, "Okay, I'll get the grapes," and handed her the 20. And there I am standing there, like trying to like artificially replicate what it's like to make those choices, and right in front of me was somebody making those choices. Like you said, I go, if I want grapes, I go and I get grapes, and you know, I don't think twice about it. But she seriously had to consider, can I get these grapes? How much are these grapes, and how does that impact my budget for the week? And so it just was such an aha moment right on that first Monday for me, as you know, trying to replicate these choices and hear somebody making this choice.
Well, and the
out of
thing is, you know,
necessity.
and you know, you'd like to think that in general, most of us would have understood. You knew what was happening in front of you because of what you do. I hope that I would have just said, here, take the $2. You know, my concern is, and one of the things that I think we're trying to change is the stigma.
Right.
And the misconceptions around a lot of these families, in that just because she had a 20 didn't mean she had $20 to spend on that food.
No.
That money clearly was allocated for other things that she was now trying to decide what she had to sacrifice.
Yeah, and you know, and I think if you're listening and you have any question about the need for these foods, take my challenge. Eat on about $5 a day. Your whole family can do it if you have kids, and try and go a week on that budget. You will find it is really hard, and you will find you will need to make those choices. And I think, you know, I've been doing this. I mean, I've been in the nonprofit arena my entire career, and so I think I went into the week a little arrogant, like, I got this, you know. I work with these people all the time. Like you said, we're on the front lines. Like, I totally get it. And even I really learned something about myself and learned something about the people that we serve, and it's purely that empathy. Is that it's one thing to say that you support this population. It's another thing to really empathize with those struggles and, like you said, stop judging.
Yeah. Well, I'll tell you what, let's take a quick break.
Okay.
When we come back, I want to talk more about that and a little bit more about Alice and some of the other things that we can keep in mind when we're stopping at the grocery store, when we're giving our time volunteering and doing things for some of our nonprofits in the area.
Sounds good.
Awesome. Well, we are broadcasting live from the Camping for Hunger bus in the Royal Plaza Shopping Center. We got volunteers out front waiting to take your bags of donations, your cash, your checks, your grocery gift cards. We've got people that are on the bus now boxing things up because we're hoping that we're going to get this huge influx. So come on down, bring us some cans, and make everybody have to work up a sweat today because the sun is out and the snow is melting and we have a bus to fill. I am Janet Michael. You're listening to The Valley today, and we'll be back in just a few minutes. All right.
Hi, guys.
Am I still going?
Now, Lonnie sent me a text,
Yes,
but I don't
ma'am.
know what
Maybe.
it means.
Do you want to stay live on Facebook?
Yes.
Or- okay.
Okay.
Keep on
I
going.
thought you were coming back.
Hi, Facebook.
Hi. Yes. All right. So Lonnie is trying to tell me what to do.
Different angle.
F2, 3, or 9. I don't know what any of that means.
F23.
IDK, what any of that means.
There's F2.
Does anybody need coffee or anything? I was going to make a run if you want me to get
I
some.
would love you.
I know, Mocha.
Love you.
Mocha.
Love.
I know.
Love.
That's why I stopped. I knew you needed me.
Love.
Coop,
I'm all right for now. Thank you,
over
though.
here. Just kidding.
Oh, please, yes.
How about you? Anything?
Oh, I'm good.
You
Thank
sure?
you. I appreciate that.
How about you? Would you like a cup of coffee?
I'm good.
You sure?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Final answer, Coop? Nothing?
Yeah.
Love
I'm
you.
pretty heavily
Love you.
caffeinated right now.
All right. I'm waiting for Lonnie to tell me what baud rate means.
This is the first time I've ever seen that board, so I have absolutely no idea. This is the joys of mobile broadcasting, right?
I know, right? I still, I
thought the
can't.
studio was complicated.
I know. Well, the
Even more
studio is easy
complicated.
because, you know, I got control of everything here. Dylan is controlling it. So just think about that for a second. If you've heard Dylan and I on the air, or you've listened to us on our Another Look podcast, Dylan is now in control of my destiny, and it makes me very, very nervous. Listen to me in the headphones. Okay, hang on. Okay, I can hear you. Yes. 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 I can hear you. All right, hang on.
This is why Lonnie is a saint.
I just hit 9 twice. Hang on. All right, F2 and 3.
Yeah, all my years in
Well, I'm
college
hitting F2
radio
and 3.
never prepared me for any of
But I'm
this.
hitting F2 and 3.
Always
It's like a
different.
learn on the job kind of thing.
Yes, the third radio
Okay, I
station
hit
I've
F2
worked
and
for,
9.
and it's always different equipment
F2
every time.
and 9.
Really?
Oh yeah. Outside of
F2
the
and
microphones, it's always different. This is actually the first studio that I worked in where it was predominantly digital.
Okay.
And I was like,
Okay.
all right, where's the CD deck?
Got it.
Oh, you don't have one here? Uh-oh.
What?
Okay, we are back on the Valley today. I am your host, Janet Michael. We are on live from the Camping for Hunger bus in Royal Plaza Shopping Center. We are directly across the parking lot from Royal King. Our wonderful Cooper is filling in today as our human tripod. He is Facebook Living the entire show. So you got to, if you're watching us on Facebook, you got to see that little snafu in the middle of it when I had to do something with the equipment and I had no idea what I was
Did we
doing.
sound better? Because there were a lot of button pushing in the break.
I know, it did kind of sound a little weird, didn't
Did it? I don't know.
Let me see, is your mic on?
I don't know.
Oh, it is now?
Is it?
How about that?
You just cut me off? Am I that bad of a guest? You just shut me off in the break.
We are on the bus today with Nadine. She is the executive director of the United Way of Northern Shenandoah Valley. And we spent the first segment talking a lot about the Alice person, even though it represents a person or a community group, even though it's not an actual person named Alice, right?
Right, no, it's not just a female. It could be a male. It can be a family, including children. So Alice is really just an acronym and a concept for about 40% of our local community who is working, sometimes working 2 jobs and just not making ends meet.
Well, and that's the thing that I think, we never really think of those people that fall into the cracks. And at the beginning of the show, we were talking about the Alice Awareness Week challenges, and that you and Elise both took the same challenge, but with different parameters. And so the SNAP food budget is actually higher than what the Alice food budget would be.
It's a little
or
lower.
Lower,
A little bit lower, yeah.
But they're also, that's a bonus. I mean, that's a benefit to
Right,
them.
right. Whereas the Alice food budget is really coming out of your budget. And, there's a lot of stuff in the Alice report about that. But one stat I brought is that for somebody who works $11.08 an hour job, the food budget I was on is almost 31% of their income. So,
Wow.
yeah, so it's a lot. And it's certainly a challenge. So,
Well, and it's one of the things, that I hadn't really thought of too. I mean, you were talking about how much you learned about yourself and just planning and food in general while you were doing the challenge that week. I don't think a lot of people realize that if you could take spending money on food out of your budget, or a huge portion of it out of your budget, that then gives you that extra money to keep the lights on, to keep your heat on, to pay your rent, to have a roof over your head, or maybe to get your own place and not live in some of the temporary housing and the motels and things like that we see.
yeah, and what we see in a lot of people that we serve is that the food is sort of the last thing in the budget that gets addressed. So, I think when you look at your hierarchy of needs, I think shelter and warmth and those sorts of things really comes before the food. And if you're working, which many of the Alice families are, transportation and childcare are sort of the next on the list, because you can't give up childcare and still be able to work, and you can't give up your transportation unless you're walking, which is very difficult where we live. And keep your job. So those are sort of the next things that suck everything out of the budget. And if you don't have anything left, you don't have anything left. And food is just sort of the last thing on the totem pole that, if people have to give it up, they do.
Well, and you were telling me before we came on the air about your week and what your diet was. And that people were saying, wow, I bet you lost weight. And that's another misconception that people have out there, is in what people choose to eat.
Absolutely, yeah. I did weigh myself before I started, and I weighed myself after. I didn't lose weight. I also didn't gain weight, although I thought that I would, because like I said, the quality of the food that I was eating was just really poor. And like I said earlier, by Wednesday I could really feel my energy level go down. I certainly wasn't able to do the things in the gym that I usually am. It just got me thinking about how what we put in our body is so related to our health. So food insecurity isn't just about being hungry, it's also how does it affect your health. And when you're eating a lot of processed foods that are high in sodium, high in sugar, those things are contributing to other health factors like diabetes and hypertension and obesity. And so just because you're food insecure doesn't mean you're skinny. It probably means the opposite, and it probably means that you're going to deal with health issues down the way. I mean, eating like I was eating, I knew long term that would have affected my health. And I was telling you earlier, you know, I went back to my normal eating Saturday, Sunday, and Monday, and weighed myself again on Tuesday, and I'd actually lost 1.5 pounds.
Because you were eating the healthier, better for you foods.
I went back to eating, you know, healthier foods, you know, my high protein, low starch diet, nothing crazy. I'm not like on keto or anything, you know, wacko. It's just basic whole food principles, right? I barely eat anything that comes out of a package. And so I went back to that and, you know, obviously had more energy to work out and be active. And so I ended up losing weight after going back on that. So again, it just proves that that high starch, high sugar diet is really long term a real challenge for people's health. And
it becomes a vicious circle, because then they're sick, and then there are more medical bills, and then there are more issues to deal with, and then everything just kind of, it's cyclical and just goes around and around.
Right. And if you think of the stress related just in, you know, managing a budget like that, and, you know, I couldn't run out and if I didn't have time and grab something to eat from fast food or anything. And so, you know, just the stress of having to manage all of that can really contribute to someone's health as well.
And that makes sense. So I tell you what, let's take one more quick break.
Okay.
We are broadcasting live from the Camping for Hunger bus and Royal Plaza Shopping Center. We are directly across the parking lot from Rural King, so we hope you'll come by. We've got more volunteers. We've got somebody out front now writing a check. Bless her heart. We absolutely love that. Larry Elliott is now on the Camping for Hunger bus, so we're going to talk to him in a little bit too, because we are live from 1 o'clock to 7 o'clock. We're going to be doing live drops all throughout the rest of the day so that we can thank you for all of your donations. But we'll be back for more of the Valley today in just a few minutes. All right. Hey!
Hey!
Do you know Nadine?
No,
Hi, Larry.
You two should know each other.
Nadine, United Way, Northern Shenandoah Valley.
Ah,
Nice to meet you.
good to see you. I like what you're talking about.
Oh,
Yes, she took the Alice Awareness
Janet.
Challenge a couple of weeks ago
honestly have
with
no idea.
eating on the Alice food budget per day.
Hey, Janet, we got a question about who the checks are made out to.
Went,
Front
I
Royal
call it
CCAP.
Front Royal CCAP.
95%
Okay.
vegetarian.
Thank you.
Okay.
I was
Thank
type
you.
2 diabetic.
Okay.
I lost 20 pounds.
Wow.
I'm within 2 points of being non-diabetic.
Wow, good for you.
And I love the food.
Yeah.
It's,
Come on up.
it's much better.
Yep.
Oh, here's
Hi,
someone.
I'm with Legal Shield, and I'm going to give a cash donation.
Okay.
I'm Pat Moore, I'm a regional manager, but also I'm with FREBA, and we give money to CCAP every year. Through
This
the
is Larry
Taste of the
Elliott, who's the
Town.
president of CCAP.
Hi.
Thank you.
You're welcome. I think it's a great thing because it's local,
Yep.
and so
Yep.
just CCAP Front Royal.
Yep, CCAP Front Royal will do it.
Well, it's really wonderful what you do.
So I'll come back. What do you want to cover in the last 2 or 3 minutes?
Oh gosh, I had something in that last. Oh, I wanted to talk a little bit about social isolation
Whenever we get
Okay.
cash
because
or gift
of the
cards,
Friday when I couldn't
we
eat
use
the
like
meal,
fresh, whole
but lunch
foods.
with
Perfect.
other teams.
started
Just
this program
kind of
last
the
year,
social
and so our
isolation
young
that
families
people
with children
feel.
come in and get fresh.
Okay, that works. 12:57 because I got to be out at 57:50. So.
Got it.
All the good
And then
stuff.
we can
Yes,
keep talking
today's
if you
the
want. Cooper can we can
Yep.
finish the conversation if we have to
Oh,
stop
yeah, no.
on
Thank you
Facebook
guys.
Live. So
Yeah.
I mean, it's just so important. But we, every year when we do the Taste of the Town, FREBA sends.
Oh, that's a fire extinguisher.
you're
I should
being a
not
good
lean on
little.
that.
Is your arm tired yet?
No, I'm all right. Well, I just leaned on the fire extinguisher and felt it move. I was like, wait a minute.
Yeah, we got some. I'm also running one of the backpack programs, but we CCAP got I think $1,000 from the Taste of the Town last year. Yeah.
Good. Yeah, I'm on the board with Craig Laird.
Craig's a good buddy of mine.
He's awesome.
He is, isn't he?
Yeah, and we just
Thank
had
you,
an
man.
event at his wine and reef the other
New
night.
place. Yeah.
Welcome back to the Valley today. I am your
Thanks
host,
very
Janet
much.
Michael. We are broadcasting live from the Camping for Hunger bus and Royal Plaza Shopping Center. We are over in front of Rural King, so we're on that
Thank
side of the
you.
parking lot. If you're coming into
Thank you
Martin's,
so much, guys.
hang a
Thanks
left.
for watching.
Actually, go park. Go into Martin's, grab everything that you can grab. I understand they have canned goods on sale and stacked up by the case right inside the front door. They will even let you borrow a cart to roll it across the parking lot to us. We've had that done several times over the course of the last week. But then head over here to the Camping for Hunger bus. We are right now chatting with Nadine. She is the executive director of the United Way of Northern Shenandoah Valley. We've been talking about Alice and just the food insecurity that comes with people who don't have enough money to cover everything, even though they're working, even though they're doing everything they possibly can. You took the Alice Awareness Week challenge from a food perspective, but you were saying that there was another component to it that you kind of learned a lesson on the last day on Friday.
Yeah, on Friday, typically my staff and I, we eat out on Fridays at lunch. We order in from a local Mexican place that has a great lunch special, $5.99, which usually fits right in my budget. It's a nice, cheap, big lunch. And the rest of the office who weren't doing food challenges went ahead and ordered their Friday lunches, and $5.99 is already outside of my budget. And even if it had been $5.40, that would have been my whole budget for the day. So I wanted to sit in my office and eat my peanut butter sandwich and not go out and eat with the rest of the team, because there was that element of social isolation where I knew I couldn't afford to participate in that activity. And I could see, now again, this was all temporary for me,
Right.
So from the lens of that I knew it was temporary, it wasn't that big of a deal. But I really thought about people where that, if they did that every Friday, and every Friday I couldn't participate, that would be really hard. And I think that would be, obviously hunger, that's the most important thing, but all the other ways that this affects somebody from a mental perspective and from that social isolation perspective just really struck me. So
And it does. It beats you down
It
after
does.
a while.
Yeah.
And then all of the other problems seem even more insurmountable.
Yeah.
And sometimes you stop looking for solutions and don't realize that there's one right in front of you because you don't even know that it exists.
And would you be brave enough to say why you weren't participating? And would people start to notice? And would there be shame associated with that? Those are all things I started to think about. So I think what you're doing is great, and appreciate everyone who comes out and donates today. It's really important. So, and again, if you want to take a walk in Alice's shoes, it's not difficult. Just put
And the
yourself on-
information is on the United
Yeah,
Way's website.
I think it's still on our website. We're going to probably do this every November now, and so the more people that participate, the more we can just get out there the story we're trying to tell, and real people's stories. So,
Awesome. Well,
yeah.
we are going to wrap up the Valley today. However, we are coming back with you from 1 o'clock to 7 o'clock today. We have been chatting with Nadine. She's the Executive Director of the United Way of Northern Shenandoah Valley. Nadine, thanks for coming to the bus.
Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. So hang in there. Lonnie, Dylan, and I are going to tag team throughout the rest of the afternoon. We're going to try and feature people that are bringing us canned food donations, grocery gift cards, checks, cash. We can take all of it, and we will take all of it because we have got to fill this bus tonight. We are hauling out of here in the morning at about 8 a.m. So come on down to the bus and see me. I'm Janet Michael. Thanks for listening today.
All right.
And we're clear.
That's all right. That's all right.
Should we good on live or not?
Thank you for watching. Say hi, Larry.
Hi.
Thank you, Cooper.
Nope, my pleasure.